Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I just wanted to come on here and give a quick update on everything. I finally got the phone call yesterday for my Friday blood test results, and my levels have went back down to normal. So they don't want to see me anymore. They said I don't have any more follow-ups. So I don't know if I'm going to try to find a different doctor moving forward, because I didn't really like how I felt the last few visits that I went there. And the fact that they just released me and don't really want to see me anymore. This OB office actually doesn't accept patients that aren't pregnant, and they're just like always super busy, and every location I've been to is very busy. The last few times I went for blood work, it was at least an hour wait before I was even seen, and that's just for blood work. So I don't know if I'm going to try to find a different doctor for next time. And the people that do the blood work, I don't know if it was just me or them, but just the last time that I had to do the blood work on Friday, they had to poke me 2 times on one side of the arm, and then another lady tried 2 times on the other because they couldn't find my vein, and just the long wait times, and I just did not like the experience. But they didn't say anything about wanting me to get an HSG test. I guess since I kind of ignored her the first time around when I had my miscarriage 3 years ago, she recommended that I do the HSG test, and I just stopped seeing her altogether. I didn't go for any more follow-ups, but this time around she didn't want to do any more follow-ups, so I guess it's up to me to find a place if I want to get that done. Right now it's not really possible with our income. We're still working on being completely self-employed, and right now we are completely self-employed and the money is paying the bills, but we just don't have anything extra. The last time I researched that HSG test, I believe they said I had to do a consultation, which was, I don't remember how much the fee was for that. Since I am self-pay, I don't have any insurance right now. And then the actual HSG procedure was over $500. I can't remember the exact number, and that was a couple years ago, so I can only imagine it's probably going to be more expensive now. So we're just gonna put that on hold right now. I do want to save up money for that, but we're gonna just see what happens for a little while longer. I can't just jump in and go and schedule that because I'm not gonna have any way of paying for that. Plus I have all the bills that are coming from this pregnancy loss. The way the doctor office bills like the blood work, they bill it to me later, so I'm going to be receiving that in the next few weeks. 3 blood works that I have to pay for, and they're probably going to be a little over $100 each. So I just gotta sit still and relax for a little bit and get those bills out of the way. And then I have the hospital visit too, which I really regret going to the hospital, but we just didn't know what was going on at the time. And I'm feeling good though. I'm feeling positive, and I am feeling like the next time I get pregnant, it's not going to be such a long gap, because when I got a miscarriage 3 years ago, this is the first time I really got pregnant after the miscarriage. But I have a feeling in my heart that that's not going to happen again. I feel like I'm going to be able to get pregnant a lot sooner, especially because moving towards this pregnancy, my cycles were actually regulating themselves. I was on time. I wasn't spotting at all before it was time for AF, and for a while I did struggle with that, and I was using the progesterone cream. But then I stopped using the progesterone cream, and I was doing absolutely nothing for TTCing, and we were able to get pregnant. So I kind of just want to do that again, just put it out of my brain, not actually track anything, not try, but also not prevent pregnancy, and just see where that takes us in the meantime until we can get more answers in the future once I save up the money for the HSG test. But I have a strong feeling that there was maybe just something wrong with this pregnancy. There was no signs that pointed towards this being an ectopic, and I had no symptoms of that. I know that it can happen without symptoms, but I strongly feel like my first miscarriage had to be an ectopic, because I felt the pain and aching on the left side, especially when I would lay down, and I had a lot more bleeding and pain with that miscarriage than this one. This one, it was literally just 2 days of bleeding, and the first day wasn't even that bad. Like the cramps were really bad, but the bleeding wasn't that much. And that was the day that I was at that festival, and I had only used one pad for the whole entire day. But then the next day after was a little bit heavier, and I did pass some clotting, not too much. I did want to go through all my symptoms that I had during this whole process leading up to my miscarriage. So I thought I'd share that with you guys because I did log everything. But like I said, this miscarriage was not that bad. It wasn't that bad emotionally or physically. It was 2 days of bleeding, lots of cramping, a little bit of like clots and tissue that I passed. But maybe it was very early on, so I didn't have as much to lose as the last time. So I'm just chalking it up to that. And like I said, emotionally I feel good. Maybe it's because I have been through it already, so I knew what to expect. And it is unfortunate and I am sad about it, but I am excited that I just have a strong feeling that I will be able to conceive again soon. And I have a strong feeling that I am able to conceive just like anybody else. I don't have any blockages. I feel in my heart that at least one part of my body is healed and that I'm going to be able to conceive, and that this last pregnancy was in the uterus. I do feel like it was, just because of the symptoms that I was having. It was very similar to my 2 pregnancies that I had that were successful with my son and daughter. But let's go through the symptoms that I had before. I didn't really log symptoms before I found out I was pregnant because the first time I tested was 14 DPO. But let's go ahead and review those really quick. Here's my tests once again. I'm going to be saving these. My first very faint positive was on 14 DPO. They got stronger from there, but the Walmart 88 cent test never really did get that dark before they started getting lighter again leading up to my miscarriage. And first response, so what would be 13 DPO? The only symptom that I logged was that I had a very bad migraine at nighttime, and this was a day before I tested. So I didn't test at all that cycle until the day of my miss period. So that Monday was the day my period was due. It was 14 DPO for me, and I had a very faint positive. I think this was on the Walmart 88 cent test or one of the clear blue. So I logged in that the test tracked 25 ml of HCG. So the next day after that, after my first faint positive, I was noticing that I was noticing smells. Scents were really strong to me. Like anything I would walk by, I would smell the odor from it really strongly. And food tasted really good. Like I had enhanced taste buds, but I would get over the food that I was eating very quickly. So I think that's when the nausea had already started kicking in. I still had a headache. I felt very warm, like my body temperature. And then that's the day I had a positive on the clear blue digital as well. I took a line test that day and the digital. So the day after that, I logged in that I was getting a headache around noontime every day. So it was getting pretty consistent at that point, but it went away when I was eating food and drinking water. I had my first bout of nausea when I was eating something. I ate like a kale, I think it was a kale burger, and for some reason the kale just tasted off. It tasted almost like what a fish tank smelled like, and that's what I put in my notes. And like every time I would think about that, when I ate that, I would feel nauseous. So the nausea was definitely getting stronger day by day. So the day after that, that is when my breast sensitivity started coming in like waves almost. It wasn't like an all-day thing, but I would notice like a surge of it in random times of the day. I was really hungry. I had another headache around noontime. I was also peeing a lot, and I put that I had light brown faint spotting from 14 DPO until that day. So that would be 17 DPO. I had very like light watered down spotting, but then it had went away after that. There's completely no more spotting after that, and the spotting didn't come with pain or anything. It was just random spotting. So after that, this will be 18 DPO now. I had lots of twinging on the left and right side, no specific side at all, just lots of twinging. Felt like a lot was going on in the uterus area. I didn't log in nothing for 19 DPO. 20 DPO, I put that I was feeling nauseous every time I would eat something, every time I would finish eating something, and my first craving was cheesecake, which I also had this when I was pregnant with my son. I remember craving cheesecake early on in the pregnancy, and we did buy cheesecake, and it felt like I was eating the best cheesecake in the world. So that was definitely a craving, and I did satisfy that craving. So nothing for 21 DPO. 22 DPO is when I had my first doctor appointment. Their urine test did not show up that positive, and that's why the doctor was concerned. And they did blood work that day, and I did have cramping after they did the pelvic check. I noticed that I had cramping the rest of the day. Not really extreme cramping, but just a little bit. So the results of that blood work that day ended up being 304. I didn't get the results for that until a little bit later, but I did log it in. So on 22 DPO, it was 304. So 23 DPO, I noticed that I had some aching on my lower back, and we had went blueberry picking that morning, or like around noontime. So I thought it was because of that. My back was hurting when we were picking blueberries from all the bending down and everything. So I noticed that night I had a lot of lower back pain, but then eventually it just went away from laying down. I didn't take anything for it, and it just went away by itself. So 24 DPO is when I took, I was still taking pregnancy tests, and that's when it came out fainter. So the day before that is when I took the first response at nighttime, I believe. And it was really, really dark, and it came up really fast. So the next morning I took another first response, and it was a little bit fainter, which was concerning for me and for all of you guys watching as well. So that is the night that I went to the hospital, because I did have a little bit more spotting that one day. So they did the ultrasound and the blood work. My ultrasound that day was at the ER, it was only 44, so it had dropped from 304 to 44. Later on, I also got the phone call of the doctor's office HCG that I had done that morning, and that theirs was 54. So it was already going down pretty quickly that day, and in the ultrasound they did not see anything. So didn't log in anything for the day after, but Saturday was when the miscarriage pretty much started. I had pink bleeding throughout the day, a lot of almost like egg white discharge mixed with the bleeding. I had a lot of cramping on and off, and it would hurt more when I would sit down. So when I was walking around and standing up, it would relieve like the pain and the pressure a little bit. And I still had a faint positive on the Walmart 88 cent test, and I felt nausea and a little dizzy too. Sunday, I had very painful cramps, and my uterus was actually contracting. I could actually feel it. I had bright red bleeding, but it wasn't a lot. Like I said, that Sunday, the whole day, I was just on one single pad, and the bleeding wasn't really matching up with the amount of cramps that I was having. So my body was trying to pass everything, but it just was not coming out. So that Monday, that is when most of the heavier bleeding came. The cramping wasn't as bad, but the heavier bleeding came, and I had some blood clots every time I would go to the bathroom, a little bit of blood clots. Still had a faint positive on first response. So at 10 p.m. that night is when I passed my largest blood clot. Like, I didn't really look at it too much, but I can hear it plop out of the toilet, and it kind of hurt. Like I could feel it coming out of my cervix. It felt like it stretched my cervix a little bit coming out. So that was the biggest one that I had. The other blood clots that I had, I didn't really feel coming out like that. So I don't know if that was the majority of the tissue that was left in my uterus that just came out all at once, or just one really big blood clot. And that's it for that day. So after that, it started going down. The bleeding started going down. Had a little bit of more clots on the pad. Still bleeding bright red, but it wasn't like a large quantity of blood. Had another headache at nighttime and still had a faint line on first response. The next day, I put that I was still bleeding but no more cramps. That's the day that I got the darker first response, which was weird, but I knew it was just one of those false tests that sometimes they have. Still had a headache. So at that point I was just spotting now. Towards the end of the day it was just spotting, so the blood would only show up when I would wipe. And that night I was feeling really nauseous too, and I did not eat dinner for that night. So the next day after that, I had no more pain, twinges every now and then, which is probably just left over from my uterus trying to get back to its normal size. I was still spotting, still taking pregnancy tests. They were just getting fainter and fainter from there. And then the blood work was the next day after that. That is the one that I just got the results from, and they said my HCG has went down to normal. And that is pretty much it. That is how it all went down. It was really not that bad at all. I feel like my first miscarriage that I had was definitely worse. It was a lot more pain, a lot more bleeding involved, and of course the physical pain from losing a pregnancy. But this time around I feel good, I feel positive, I feel at peace. Now moving forward, we are going to keep trying, but like I said, not really trying, not really tracking anything, just not preventing. And I have a strong feeling in my heart that the next time I do get pregnant, I'm just going to keep it a secret. I'm not going to tell family, I'm not going to tell friends, because that is the worst thing in the world, to tell everybody and then experience a loss like that. I think God is telling me to just keep it to myself next time, and just between me and hubby. Of course I'm going to share the news with you guys next time I get pregnant, but I think I'm just not going to do it right away. I have a strong feeling that I should like guard myself and protect my own peace, and let that little miracle just be between us, and not tell the kids and not tell family, and not put it out for the world to see like right away. And that is just what God put in my heart. So next time, just keep it to ourselves, just because not everybody is always on our side, not everybody is always on your side, not everyone wants the best for us or for you, and sometimes you have to just guard yourself like that and just not share the good news, because some people don't wish the best for you. Even online, putting it on YouTube, some people do leave negative comments, or some people doubt the power of God. And I feel like just next time I'm just gonna wait a little bit. I'm going to confirm everything, just put it in God's hands from here on out, and just we'll see what happens. If I do end up pregnant again and it ends up in a loss, then okay, we will see what we will do after that. But maybe third time is the charm. Maybe these last two pregnancies there was something truly wrong with it, and my body was able to let go on its own and do what it was supposed to do. You never really know. They say 1 in every 4 pregnancies ends in a loss, whether you know about it or not. Sometimes it's really early on and you think it's just your period. But I feel like this last pregnancy was in the correct spot. I feel like I have just as much chance as anybody else to conceive again, and I feel like it's going to happen soon. But I truly feel that next time it does happen, we want to keep it to ourselves and just share the news a little bit later on. I'm not going to leave you guys out of the loop. I'm going to record my pregnancy testing videos, but I'm probably just not going to post them until later on, till we have more answers. Right now I am waiting for ovulation to happen again. I think we are approaching, let me check. I'm not sure, because after a miscarriage things don't really regulate themselves. With my first miscarriage I got ovulation right when my app had predicted it, but I don't know what's gonna happen this time around. So right now it's May 3rd and it's saying my fertile window is from May 5th to the 8th, with an ovulation day of the 8th on Sunday. So we will see what happens. We have started baby dancing again, since I am not in any more pain, no more bleeding or anything. And like I said, we're not really trying. I'm not tracking anything at all. I'm not doing anything extra to try to conceive. We're just gonna see what happens from here and see if it happens again for us, and fingers crossed that next time it is a sticky baby and we're able to have a successful pregnancy. But right now we have no choice but just to wait and see. I can't afford an HSG right away off the bat like I wanted to, and I do have to find a different doctor, and one that's accepting people maybe when they're not pregnant yet, so that I can be seen and schedule the appointments that I need before that. So right now we're just really busy anyway. We're preoccupied with all of the things that we need to do, all of the events. So that is what we're going to focus on now, just trying to be the healthiest us. That's another thing. I need to work on losing weight and lowering my BMI, because that will probably help in the future with TTCing, because I'm already overweight now as it is, and add on being pregnant to it, I probably would have gained an unhealthy amount of weight, so that is never good either. So that's what my focus is on right now, just becoming a healthier and better me, and just not preventing pregnancy, hoping and praying that the next time it ends up in a successful pregnancy, and with a goal in the future to get that HSG and talk to a fertility specialist to see what we can do to improve our chances of getting pregnant in the future. You just never know what's in store, what's in God's plan. So I wanted to give you guys that long update, everything that happened, all the symptoms that I felt when I was pregnant and how I felt after I lost the pregnancy, and just what our future plan is. I want to wish all of you guys who are still on your TTC journey all the best of luck. I'm still going to be here watching your videos and supporting you. And just know that we are behind the scenes still trying to conceive, and I will be able to share that good news with you guys again. It just won't be right off the bat right away, because we do want to keep it, we just want to know about it ourselves and be able to pray about it and just receive that blessing and keep it to ourselves for just a little while until we share it with the world. I'll see you guys in the next video.